I did it again. I did. Oh God, I'm gonna have to read this goddamn article again, aren't I? Ah, I did it again. My microphone was off for a second time. Ah, 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 Christ. Okay. This is an article from the LA Times. Column: Larry Elder is the black face of white supremacy. You've been warned. I've already done a rant and a tangent about how this article is nonsense, but I'm gonna have to do it again. Alright, anyway, Larry Elder smugged the smug smile of a black conservative who could very well be liberal California's next governor. Where do you start with the damage Gavin Newsom has done to the state that we both love? He leaned forward to gaze across the room of lowercase w Republicans who had come up, lowercase w in white Republicans who had come up to hear him speak in Orange County. Right? Keep in mind, capital B black, when they do this, and I've already ranted about this. I already have ranted about this, but I'm gonna have to do it again, and I'm just gonna have to do it again and get it over with, right? When they do things like okay, first off, race is not a proper noun. Second, there was this article from a institution called Journalist Resource. Basically, they used a capital B black in relation to that. That is also in relation to skin color, because anyone who uses that journalistic resource has effectively taken the exact same position as the Daily Stormer, but in regards to race relations. And what I mean by this is that's what the Daily Stormer believes. It is a actual legitimate white supremacy news station. And I'm going to use the term news very loosely because it's not really a news station. It's an opinion editorial from a bunch of losers. I'm just gonna put it that way. It's an opinion editorial from a bunch of losers. And when they do the capital B in black but the lowercase w in white, this is because they mean politically black. They don't mean skin color, and they don't mean like my sound foam things. Acoustic foams. They don't mean that kind of black. They mean skin color, and they mean giving a political connotation to the skin color, right? In the name of ending white supremacy. Rising crime, it's because of this phony narrative that the police are engaging in systemic racism and cops are pulling back, Elder said. When you reduce the possibility of a bad guy getting caught, getting convicted, and getting incarcerated, guess what? Crime goes up. You will notice that in this apparently white supremacist tirade, right? Let me just keep in mind that in California, there are plenty of Republicans here who aren't white. I thought I'd just let everyone know this, okay? Especially in Orange County. Orange County has plenty of non-white people, and if the LA Times wasn't a bunch of racial supremacists, they would have just done a tiny little Google search. Would have taken them 5 seconds, right? And they wouldn't have wrote this. But if everyone's getting along and everyone has the intelligence to look something up for 5 seconds, well, then you can't have capital B black, lowercase w in white, or vice versa. You can't have political relations with regards to skin color, and you cannot openly advocate for racial power like a bunch of racial supremacists. Anyway, another smile. This one was even more smug than the last. And I'd just like to mention that, and I've already mentioned this before, even though you guys didn't hear it because my microphone was off, right? I'm going to have to get better at this. This is totally not opinionated. This is completely biased journalism, saying something is a smug smile without even sourcing the smile. You know, like, people can see, and we could tell a smug smile from a regular smile, you know, but whatever. For instance, if this is a smug smile. You know, anyway, I won't lie, few things infuriate me more than watching a capital B black person use willful blindness and cherry-picked facts to make oversimplistic arguments that whitewash the complex problems that come along with being capital B black in America. This is because systemic racism is nonsense. It is a self-fulfilling loop where the argumentation for the conclusion is in and of itself the conclusion. People who are proponents of systemic racism say systemic racism exists because the institutions in our country are systemically racist. Let me just check the thing. Okay. All right. I already read that. And throughout his career as a radio host, as a talking head for Fox News, and as a gubernatorial candidate, Elder has made a point of doing just that, usually with a lot of taunting of toddler-like name-calling of his ideological enemies. What is their source? What is the LA Times' source for this? The LA Times source is the LA Times. Nothing says unbiased journalism like a news station citing themselves with an opinion editorial in the name of unbiased journalism. Anyway, whatever. As longtime political consultant Kerman Maddox put it, Larry Elder goes out of his way to be at odds with the leadership in the capital B Black community and at odds with the thinking of the capital B Black community. Yes, because race is a monolith, so says the LA Times, because the LA Times have taken the position of the Daily Stormer on race relations. Unbelievable, right? Like a lot of capital B Black people, and I'm not saying this, I'm reading this from the LA Times, okay? Though I've learned that it's often best just to ignore people like Elder, people who are, as my dad used to say, skin folk, but not necessarily kinfolk. That is not me saying this. That is the LA Times. The LA Times has the position of race relations as the Daily Stormer, right? That's certainly how many of LA's capital B Black community and politically powerful have tried to deal with him over the years. As the Times once wrote of Representative Maxine Waters, refusal to be a guest on Larry Elder's radio talk show, why should she boost the ratings of a man who ridicules her by mixing a recording of a barking dog over her sound bites? Well, that which has no evidence backing it can be dismissed with zero evidence. So you probably should have cited this. Let's take a look at the thing with the LA Times. It's blocked by a paywall. Because of course it is. So you can't even do it if you wanted to. Right? But with polls showing that nearly half of likely voters, and also it's the LA Times once again citing the LA Times. So, whatever. But with polls showing that nearly half of likely voters support recalling Newsom and that Elder is in the lead to replace him, ignoring the self-proclaimed sage from South Central is no longer a viable strategy, particularly for capital B Black people. Yes, because there's absolutely in no way, no possibility whatsoever that a Black person would like Larry Elder. For the same reason, there is and that reasoning is equally true for all races. Oh, wait, the LA Times is a bunch of Black supremacists, and they believe that their own race is a monolith. Anyway, it's not just that Larry Elder would be a Trump fanboy Republican trying to run a state dominated by Democrats, or that he has zero experience in elected office and clearly doesn't have the temperament for governance. He doesn't even take questions from journalists without losing his cool. What is their source for this? Is it the LA Times? It's the LA Times. The LA Times makes a claim, and then their source is, of course, the LA Times. Ad nauseum. Repeat and repeat. Right? It's that perhaps out of spite, or perhaps out of an insatiable need for attention, no source given, Elder opposes every single public policy idea that's supported by capital B Black people to help capital B Black people. Yes, because incentivizing the welfare state even more than it already is, effectively making the government, the state, the parents, the breadwinner in the family, right? There's no conceivable reason any Black person would ever be against that in any way whatsoever, and that is because, so says the LA Times, by how they're writing their articles, race is a monolith, and that includes Black people. So because race is a monolith, this is just the most absurd, stupid, nonsensical thing. Anyway, we have been having a series of real uncomfortable discussions about systemic racism in institutions across the state, said Senator Sidney Kamlager, I don't know how to pronounce that, about how to really peel back the layers of ignorance or ineptitude so that we could deal with them in very real ways. And Larry Elder is someone who just fundamentally does not believe in systemic racism. Yes, that is because Larry Elder believes in these things called facts. And because he believes in these things called facts, he's not going to accept the axiomatic presuppositions from a bunch of race nationalists. LA Times. Ridiculous. He also apparently doesn't believe that racial profiling exists, despite telling the Times editorial board that police pulled him over between 75 and 100 times. The first year he had his driver's license. New drivers make mistakes. Did you know this? Did you know that it's possible for a driver with less experience than someone who's an experienced driver to be pulled over by the police? No, that's just systemic racism. Elder scoffs at many efforts to reform the criminal justice system and to root out racial bias in policing by requiring more transparency and accountability from officers. Instead, he keeps touting out statistics that purport to show the capital B black people are particularly prone to murder. First off, Larry Elder being not a racist. I don't know why I have to explain this to people. He would not say capital B black people. And, well, he keeps trotting out statistics that purport, well, that which has no evidence to support it can be dismissed with no evidence, but I'm going to contend with it for a second. That's possibly in relation to FBI crime statistics, and by the way, that is because anyone who lives in cities, all demographics, right? If you live in a city, every demographic that lives in cities, right? Crime for each demographic is high in every demographic because, and I know this may sound strange to people, right? Highly dense populated areas in the United States are densely populated, which means people are at each other's throats more, which means there's less resources to go around than, say, a rural area where everyone has their own farm. If you just drop the racial supremacy bullshit, LA Times, this stuff becomes simple and reasonable, and you can have a conversation about it. You cannot say, oh, I don't know, go on tangents that a black person is the face of white supremacy, as whatever. Do we still have the phenomenon where young black men is 8 times more likely to be killed by another black man than a young white man? And again, look at this. They're even capital B black for his first quote for his quotes. Larry Elder would never capitalize the race. He would never overemphasize the race, unlike the racial supremacists at the LA Times. He told the Republicans in Orange County, if the answer to those series of questions is yes, I would submit to you that systemic racism is not the problem. Wow, it's almost as if Larry Elder is, I don't know, some combination of empiricist. You know, it's almost as if when he looks to the world and he sees a phenomenon, right? He doesn't blame a different phenomenon for the phenomenon he's seeing. Wow, what a shock. What a surprise. I gotta check the chat. For everything real quick. Sound. I hope it's fixed now. Yeah. And if you're watching this on Odyssey or DLive, I just thought I'd let everyone know that it's, what is it? That in not only the description of the live stream, but on the comment section of the live stream, I put the, you know what? I should, let me do this. Oh, oops. Let me just remove that. Okay, there we go. Now let me go to this, and then I'll go to invite. I'll copy that. Okay, there we go. And now I'll go to where's YouTube? YouTube's right here. And then I'll paste. Okay. There we go. Now I can get back to it. Wait, let me check the Odyssey chat real quick. Okay, Odyssey chat's good. No one's fighting in the comment sections. So that's always good too. All right, let's get back. Wait, that's the wrong tab. There we go. Let's get back into it. Elder mocks critical race theory, though I'm not sure he understands what it actually is. That doesn't bode well for ethnic studies in California. Yes, if your field of study is effectively astrology and racial supremacy moshed together, you know, you're probably not going to get much funding. I don't know why taxpayer funds goes to racial supremacy, goes to ideologies of racial supremacy, but whatever, right? If he's elected, the task force studying reparations for capital B Black Californians would be toast, as would yet unsigned bills to allow police officers to be decertified for misconduct would lose support community-based alternatives to 911. That which is, I don't know how many times I have to say this, that which is given zero evidence. That which, what is that Christopher Hitchens quote? That which is given zero or little evidence to support it can be dismissed with zero or limited evidence, right? Then there's Larry Elder's views on masks for COVID-19. It's particularly telling that a week ago as the time of the article this was written, a who's who of capital B Black elected officials from members of Congress to the LA City Council lined up at Kendra Community Health Center to urge capital B Black Angelenos to get vaccinated. The rates continue to be abysmal as capital B Black people are still dying disproportionately. I am so sick and tired of this racial supremacy bullshit from the LA Times, and I'm not even halfway done with the article. Not even halfway done, right? Elder, meanwhile, was off somewhere tweeting his grievances over masks and vaccine. Wait for it, drumroll please. Right? Mandates. He's not anti-mask or anti-vaccine, he's anti-vaccine mandates. It's almost as if these leftists are a bunch of lying shills. It's almost as if these people have gone from punch a Nazi to papers, please in less than a month. I wonder how that happened. Right? Promising that as governor, he will repeal those before I have my first cup of coffee, and I don't drink coffee. Well, Larry Elder, I don't drink coffee either. Coffee is incredibly unhealthy for you, and this guy just sounds based. So, right? And finally, a link provided that's not from the LA Times. There we go, from Costa Mesa Brief. All right, finally, a non-LA Times link in the article, right? I would have asked Elder to explain his views, but his campaign hasn't returned my messages. I wonder why Larry Elder is the black face of white supremacy article. I wonder why he wouldn't want to give you the time of day. However, I'm fairly certain he would say his thinking is the result of being free and independent, rather than the believer in the victimhood messaging that's supposedly perpetrated by Democrats. I'm fairly certain he would say his thinking is. So much partisanship. So much partisanship in this partisan smear. Ridiculous. He'd also probably say, what is it with this? That which is claimed with zero or little evidence can be dismissed with zero or little evidence, right? I believe that many policies that have been implemented by the left often have the best intentions, but have disproportionately negative effects on Black America, Larry Elder said. That's true. That's true. If you look at wealth in proportion to population, income, and inflation from even 1970, like, it's gotten worse today. right? So unless you're going to make the argument that racism in race relations in this country have been worse since the passing of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, well, then you've officially taken the position on race relations since the Daily Stormer. I have to move on.